welcome to today's exciting SeriesFest and Canva workshop. Bring your pitch to the page. I am Claire Taylor. I'm the Director of Programming at SeriesFest. And as always, SeriesFest is excited to be here with our friends at Canva to bring our fantastic community new resources and conversations and just general community around creating television. For anyone who's not familiar with SeriesFest and found their way here today, welcome. We are a 501c3 nonprofit based in Denver. We are most known for our iconic annual festival in Denver every May. We're headed into season 11 in 2025. But we also have nonprofit professional development opportunities that we try to offer emerging talent throughout the year, ways to grow your skills, to meet new people, and to truly connect and collaborate. So that is exactly what we're here for today. And today we also get to chat with one of those wonderful community members who has been through a lot of portions of SeriesFest. So definitely make sure you're using the chat to pick her brain and ask her all about her experience with us as a festival and an organization. She's fabulous, she's funny, and she is genuinely one of the most generous creators I have had the pleasure to work with. The phenomenal Lucy Porter will be here in just a moment. We'll also be doing a live demo with a Canva verified expert on how to really formulate your series format deck, which is a required part of the of the project application when you apply for a SeriesFest program. So we'll talk through that. And don't worry, there's going to be Q&A. Like I mentioned, use this opportunity to ask Lucy questions, ask Canva questions about how their technology can help you formulate your pitch and get it onto the page and get it ready for application for SeriesFest and for all sorts of other things that you may be applying your creative ideas for. And there will be a survey at the end, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there. But we want to hear from you throughout. I see people are already excited and talking about where they're chatting in from, and excited to get to know everybody today. So before we bring in Lucy, let's go into the next slide, or maybe, oh yes, well, you already met me. Hi. Claire Taylor, Director of Programming. Lucy Porter, I will continue to give flowers to forever. But also joining us is Tasha Dellin, the Senior Manager of Global Partnerships at Canva, as well as Canva verified expert Roger Coles. Roger, you may be familiar with his work if you watched any of the amazing viral Canva moments, but he's also just got skills beyond his stage performing and is an absolute creative, and we're excited to have this group together today. So hi, everybody. Anybody want to say hi? Okay, well, they're here. All right, Tasha's out. We'll bring her back shortly. Roger, Lucy, you're up.
Hi, Claire. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so exciting. Well, I kind of teased out that you and I maybe know each other just a little bit through just a few things like that we have been working on together and getting to know each other through SeriesFest. And from my perspective, a very wonderful friendship that I just love having so much of you in my life.
I will say, I think our relationship is a really great example of like the relationships I've created at Series Fest. Not to get like too ahead of it, like I know we'll
Oh
get there in a
God.
second, but like Series Fest has always been like more than networking to me. Like I've made a lot of genuine friendships out of it, and I am really honored to like include you in that cohort.
Yay, yay. It's not just a perk of the job, it's something that truly fills my cup to get to work
I
with
bet.
creatives like yourself. So, but before we talk too much about how well we know each other, we should probably let everybody else in on on you, and your background. So I kind of want to like take it back before we dive into the SeriesFest of it all and really talk about you. And my first question for you is, what or who inspired you to become a writer, a television writer?
Ooh, well, I initially thought I was going to go into politics. That was that was a path for me for a while until I got to college and sort of realized like, oh, I just like the show Scandal. So I do attribute Shonda Rhimes and the show Scandal. Not that that's necessarily what I'm writing now, but sort of that wake up call of like, oh, no, it's television, it's TV, it's
Yeah.
not actual policy. That's it for me. But TV has always been in sort of the forefront of my life. I mean, I didn't go to church growing up. We watched SNL Sunday mornings. Like, I think half of my personality is Karen from Will and Grace and watching those like reruns when I got home from middle school. Like, there's just so much of that media that celebrates whimsy
Mm.
that I think has seeped into my brain and my work.
Yeah, well, that's just teeing up my second question, which is I think you have a very like unique sense of comedic timing and skill, and you
Oh,
apply
thank
that
you.
to what you have, worked on with us, but also in your live show. And I was reading over your bio today, and you call out that like this is something that you see as a signature. Where did you find that inspiration? Like what instilled that love of like musicality and comedy and all those things
Yeah,
into your creations?
this is honestly kind of new. Like in the past few years, I would say I've learned to embrace earnesty as a part of the comedy. I started
Mm,
doing stand up when I was a freshman in college in North Carolina. And so I was driving 40 minutes to Greensboro, North Carolina every week to do an open mic where I was usually the only woman, usually the only one under 25. And in that kind of environment, like
mm,
apathy is everywhere and really regarded. And I have never not cared a lot. But being like young and eager, I thought that like not caring was cool and necessary. And so I really tried to like shove myself and my comedy and my writing into that box and was
mm.
not finding success. So once I finally took a step back and was like, oh, the jokes can deliver the heart. The message can come with the humor. They can be one and the same. And unlocked that as a storytelling superpower, I feel like it has completely changed the nature of my work.
Yeah, yeah. I think that I was literally not kidding this morning talking about the shift of how it used to be cool to not care.
It's
And
so
now
boring. It's
it's
so
so
boring.
boring
How
because
dare
we
you not
do
care?
care.
Oh my God.
How
I
dare you
care
not care?
so much. And I can't imagine living in a world where you sit down at a computer by yourself to work on a script and you're motivated by apathy.
Yeah. That's well, and it's also speaks to your maybe calling to TV writing is collaborative. It's that community
Absolutely.
building. It's that network. I would like to tell people in the chat, like shout out if you've had those kind of same stories of where you've felt like you're putting your comedy into a box or
Yeah.
that you're putting yourself out in a way that didn't feel natural and now you're ready to break out and show your best, Lucy.
Well, that's been sort of a cool part. And let me sort of like
Yeah.
frame myself because I'm
No,
forgetting
I
that
love it.
there are people here who don't know me. I, I am a LA based writer and a comedian. I specialize in like half hour TV writing, but I'm also a live performer. Um, and so I've found, kind of circling back to this, that as I've been doing more work like my pilot bits, which showed at SeriesFest this year, and the solo show that I'm currently on tour with, um, those are both very like earnest and vulnerable pieces.
Mhm.
And I've had so many people come up to me afterwards and just hit me with that, oh my God, same kind of reaction
Oh,
to like the specificity of my lived experience. And that has been so validating and so motivating. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel the exact same way.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's again, this is why storytelling is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, before I move into the Series Festness, can you shout out to our lovely audience here where you might have shows coming up that they could catch you live?
Yes, my name is
Thank you.
Lucy Porter. I am a comedian. I'm currently on tour with my solo show, Ingenue. Ingenue is a solo cabaret that combines stand up comedy and original songs. Currently Zooming to you from a hotel room in Chicago, Illinois, where we are on week 2 out of 4 of this tour. We just played New York and DC, or sorry, excuse me, New York and Chicago. And if you're in DC or Columbus, Ohio, this week or next week, you can check out Ingenue. Links to that are at my Instagram at Just Lucy Porter.
You guys don't miss it. I'm begging her to come to Denver. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Okay, let's talk about this, your SeriesFest journey. So
Yes.
it's 2022, 2023, and you're applying for our Pitchathon program, which
Yeah.
for anyone who's not familiar is a signature program at SeriesFest where you apply with a script, a series format deck, and a 5-minute pitch video of you pitching your project in 5 minutes, which is no easy task. What about this opportunity were you like, that's for me? Like, I want to throw my hat into this.
This opportunity specifically met me where I was at. I, at this time, was just finishing up grad school. I was in school at DePaul getting my master's in screenwriting. And I did not have the resources to make something significant. I was doing short films and web series and these like small but meaningful projects with my friends, but nothing that was really going to like break through the noise in a festival circuit. But I knew I liked the scripts that I was working on and the stories that I was developing. And so seeing SeriesFest have that kind of opportunity where I was like, oh, I can pitch. I can do that. I can take 5 minutes and record a video telling somebody about my story. And for somebody who didn't have the resources to make a full-fledged filmed project,
Yeah,
it was a really great opportunity to sort of start those next steps and understand like what else was available.
definitely. So you get selected, and then
Mm-hmm.
you go through a workshop with our wonderful partners at Working Artists Group and the
Yes.
fantastic Krista Gano. Were there things that you learned through refining your pitch for final presentation and like looking at your story that you were surprised by, or that you've like taken forward from doing all that kind of
Yeah. Well,
assessment?
Krista and I had this cool experience because she comes from an improv and comedy background, and that's all of my training. And so we got into that first workshop one on one, and immediately we're like, oh, we speak the same language. And for me, SeriesFest and Pitchathon 2023 was my first festival experience.
Yeah. Oh,
I
wow.
I was really I was excited and I was eager, but I was intimidated. And I just didn't know like what I was walking into.
Hmm.
And so to have that individualized mentorship that I had been wanting so badly
Yeah.
from Krista in that moment, like changed the game for me. And we really worked together to develop, okay, you have like the good bones of this pitch, but let's hone in on these more like performance aspects. Let's hook this way. Maybe we don't need to include XYZ character and we can really dive in on your personal experience of it and things that help when you're pitching a project, but understanding you're also pitching yourself.
Yeah.
And
That's something
that
that
really
gets
helps
left
me.
out a lot,
Yeah.
right? Is that you are selling yourself. You want to work on this. You're
And yourself
interviewing.
with the project.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a great takeaway. Okay, so then we do the pitchathon. You come to SeriesFest 2023. You pitch
Mm-hmm.
in front of a live audience.
Yes.
That's scary, but you're a stand-up comic. So, you kind of know what you're getting into, but like from a writer's perspective, that's really scary.
Yeah.
Was it so different than what you expected?
It and I understand that this is not everybody's experience, but I just kept saying in my head, I was like, once I get a microphone in my hand, I'll be fine. Like I was so nervous leading up to it and like running it again and again in my head. And I get anxious about timing. And so I was like, look, gotta hit that 5 minutes or else Krista will never talk to me again. And was really just trying not to like blow my chance. But once you get there, and I think this is a universal experience, SeriesFest is so warm. It is just a group of people, strangers who want you to succeed. And I think for us, Pitchathon 2023 was on day one of the festival. And so when I say
Yes.
strangers, I mean strangers.
Yeah.
people I had not met before, had not seen their work before, but what a warm audience and
Yeah.
what a gift to walk in and get to say, hi, here's who I am, here's my project, let me just tell you about it, and have a lot of people be like, I can't wait to hear what you have to say. That is rare.
Yes. I also remember 2023 being the day of the writer's strike.
Mm-hmm.
Is when the festival started. So it was a really scary time, I think, for everybody. And I think what continues to be a standout thing about this community is how much we stand together and
Yeah,
figure things out and have honest conversations and still support creativity. And for a group of writers to get up there, you guys are so brave. I just
it was
like
really cool.
you always get special medals, you just you got up there, we're like, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, your pitch really stood out to our partners at Call to Adventure Media, and I
Mm.
actually am gonna just take it back. So you pitched Silver Spoon,
Yes.
um, which we're going to talk about in a little bit with the deck demo with Canva. That's actually the deck that we're going to take a look at. Would you mind giving, don't worry about the 5 minute pitch, but like the log line of Silver Spoon?
Yeah, let me hijack for 5 minutes and we'll do it.
That's fine.
Silver Spoon is Cracker Barrel Succession. It is a half-hour satire about a family trying to set aside their egos and personal dynamics to save their crumbling comfort food empire.
I mean, Cracker Barrel Succession, I kid you not, was like people could not stop talking about it throughout, like that log line, so genius.
I had people coming up to me this year at SeriesFest and going, Cracker Barrel Succession. And I'm like, yes, I'm Lucy. Hi.
Hi. So Call to Adventure selected Silver Spoon for a writer's room.
Mm-hmm.
So then after the festival, I think it was last fall, last October,
Yeah.
is that right?
Yeah.
We had you back out to Denver, and Betsy Layton, who heads up Call to Adventure, and her partner, Liz Kashian, put together a writer's room to kind of simulate what it would be to really like break open the pilot. And we brought in other writers like alumni like Jake Williamson,
Raleigh
and
Kane, Krista
that's right, Raleigh
Gano.
Kane, and Krista actually
Yeah.
obviously made a lasting impression. Krista was like, I'm coming into this room. um so what was that process like for you, because that's really where you are working on this in a collaborative environment, which is a lot
Yes.
different.
Well, and for me, such a gift. I mean, I thrive in collaborative spaces, and that's something when you're at this like emerging stage of your career like I am, you're doing a lot of work independently in hopes of breaking into something more communal, like a writer's
Mm.
room. And for
Hmm.
me, that's the goal right now, is to get into a writer's room and start
Right.
collaborating with other writers. And so to get that chance to not only get to participate in that, but participate in that with my story, I
Yeah.
mean, beyond. And something that they kept prepping me with leading up to it was like, well, we want to make sure you're okay workshopping. We want to make sure you're okay lending this idea to other people to break apart and rebuild and mold. And I just kept saying, absolutely. There's no part of me that thinks that what I can do by myself is going to be any better than what a group of
Mm.
people can bring to an idea. And I
I
can't believe like what a cool experience that was.
I think that's such also great advice for people to take. Like you have a very precious idea, right? You have it, it's tied to your personal
Yeah,
experience. You've put so much creative energy and soul and passion and research and all these things into it. So it could be really scary to let other people in, but to lead with that, like taking your ego out of it and like
totally.
embracing knowledge, I think is something that's hard,
Mm,
and admirable
thank
that you
you.
braved.
Well, I also
Uh,
will say like that, I think that also speaks to the care that Call to Adventure has. Like there was
yeah,
a very like specific, like the each writer that was brought in for a reason, and everybody brought something very valuable to the table. And there was just a consistent care for me and my story. And I can't really express how appreciative I am of that.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's such a great example of that wonderful program. But all in the chaos of Silver Spoon and workshopping it with SeriesFest and doing all these things, you started a little project called Bits, and you filmed a proof of concept.
Mhm.
From when did you start production on Bits?
Okay, so this, and I promise this is real. This sounds so written to promote Series Fest, and I promise this is just true. I came to Series Fest for Pitchathon in 2023 and had these scripts, had these pilots written out that I just didn't know what to do with, like what I could do with
Yeah.
them until I saw all the other proofs of concept at Series Fest and saw the ways people were doing projects at different scales and different budgets and different like production values. And it really unlocked it for me.
Mm.
So on
Cool.
the plane ride back from Denver to LA, I adapted the pilot script of Bits, the 30-minute pilot, into a 15-minute proof of concept. I got to LA, pulled my people together, and we filmed it for 3 days in my apartment in July with truly clear the goal of coming back to Series Fest. We had a whole festival plan, and we've been very like fortunate on that festival circuit this year. But I had such a rewarding and inspirational like time at Series Fest that I was like, well, we got to go back. We got to be back.
Well, it was a vagina puppet, so it was just there was no better fit for it than
Yeah.
our wonderful late night competition.
And what a dream.
And what a dream. And
Because I'll tell you,
that
not every festival is excited about a coming of age story about a woman navigating her sexuality and virginity with the help of a horny Jiminy Cricket that is a puppeted vagina.
um Queen of Log Lines is actually the new name of this. And I know we're running right into time for our demo, but I want to talk about one more Series Fest related thing, and also it works great to bring in our friends with Canva. So part of Bits was that you won the outstanding series format deck last year that Canva supported. My question is, did you make the deck before you shot the proof of concept? Or was it kind of like a running thing you were doing both at the same time? Like which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Um, to follow your analogy, I think the chicken came first. The puppet came first.
The puppet came first.
We filmed the proof of concept, and then I created the series format deck. Well, and this is something we'll get into because I think there is a difference between a format deck for a filmed project and an unfilmed project. And
Mhm.
so with Bits, I had a series format deck ready to go to tell people about the project and try to get into that development phase before we had filmed it, and then completely overhauled it once we had
What's the other?
stills and images and faces to put to character names and that sort of stuff. And it kind of changed the way we approached the deck.
Well, that perfectly tees up Canva to join us and talk about that process. Again, we're going to talk about the Silver Spoon project, but if you have
Mhm.
questions about Bits and how she approached that side of things, like please put them in the chat. Let's talk about them in the Q&A and about more about different kinds of decks. So that was a moment that I didn't get to. But Lucy, I'm going to excuse you for a moment
Oh, thank you.
and welcome in the wonderful Tasha Dellin from Canva, our Senior Manager of Global Partnerships, who is going to talk a little bit more about Canva and all of the wonderful offerings they have for you guys listening today.
Thank you, Claire. And thank you, Claire and Lucy. That was great conversation. I could sit and listen to you guys all day, to be honest. Hi, everyone. I'm Tasha. You may recognize me if you've been on previous workshops, or I may have seen you at SeriesFest this year. I was lucky enough to attend. Very excited to be dialing in from Sydney, Australia. Hopefully it'll be a warm day today. Yeah, just really keen to chat to you all a little bit more around Canva. and hopefully be able to inspire and empower you all to be able to bring your ideas to life in Canva as well through the demo that Roger will do. But before we get into that, I thought we'd just do a little bit of a setup around who Canva is. I'm not sure people's knowledge levels of Canva. I know there was a bit of a survey sent out prior, which was really helpful. But maybe just drop in the chat whether you kind of see yourself as a bit of a Canva pro. Lucy, I'll put you there if you're number 5. And if you're more of a Canva newbie, not really used it before and keen to learn, you're more on the 1 scale. So yeah, we'd just love to know what we're working with today to get a better idea. And hopefully by the end of this training session, you'll be more up there with the 4s and the 5s, or at least ready to go and explore and have a bit more of a play. But yes, so giving you a bit of an intro into who we are. So we're proud to be female founded and led by Melanie Perkins. And the idea of Canva really came about through Mel being a teacher in Perth in Australia. And she was teaching design to students. And she just realized that all of the tools were super fragmented, really hard to use, and it felt like it was more specialized just for designers. You can see here all the different tools that exist across the different process of sourcing fonts through to sourcing imagery, through to publishing and printing. She saw a huge opportunity to bring all of those tools into one simple, easy to use ecosystem. So bringing together your fonts, your publishing and whatnot. And obviously that was Canva. And so the mission from the very beginning, which has remained the same, is to empower the world to design. And that's empowering absolutely everyone to design anything across every language, every device that they may want. And so what are people designing? So using Canva's visual suite, people are designing anything and everything from presentations, websites, prints, whiteboards, social, video, and so on. And so we obviously know that it's really important to be able to visually communicate your ideas when you're working in the entertainment industry, probably one of the most crucial industries out there for being able to do that. So a big focus for us has been empowering you to be able to bring your ideas to life. And we've done that in a number of different ways. So we have our entertainment specific industry templates. And so we've worked with industry professionals to be able to curate a bunch of templates across pitch decks, storyboards, and so on. And you can find all of those at canva.com/entertainment. We've got partnerships, just like this partnership that we have with SeriesFest to help get access to you guys and be able to help and share this. We're providing awards and grants to filmmakers, and we've got a great picture here of Lucy on stage accepting the Series Format Deck Award. And we're really doubling down on trainings and demos like today to make sure that you guys understand how to make the most of using Canva to be able to bring your ideas to life. I think that's enough from me. I'm sure everyone's itching to get into the tools. So I'll hand over to Roger. I'll stop sharing here and Roger will get into the demo. And I think Lucy's going to come back online as well. Perfect.
I'm back.
Back and better than ever.
You can't get rid of me.
Oh, well, I'm so excited to be here with you. I am Roger Coles. I'm a Canva verified expert. I'm also a Canva creator, which means I submit designs to the Canva library that you can find and use and download. And so I am very passionate about Canva to the point where I write love songs about Canva, which you may have seen at Canva Create earlier this year. So Lucy has been so kind and generous to let us run with Silver Spoon as the inspiration for our demo. So that's perfect because we have everything that we need to set up our brand kit, which is really the first thing that I recommend people do when they're working on a campaign or setting up their Canva account for the first time. And so let's jump right into that. You can find that here at the Canva homepage. Over here on the left-hand side, we have brand right here. And so it's going to automatically jump to brand templates, which is a really great feature. But what we're going to look at is brand kits right here. And if you're on Canva Pro, you can have up to 100 brand kits. And Tasha, you can correct me if I'm wrong. If you're on Canva Teams, you can have 1,000 brand kits, which is like insane. I don't even know why you'd need 1,000, but hey.
I don't know if I can name 1,000 brands.
I feel like sometimes it might feel like you're working on 1,000 projects at once, but it's just there so you can be able to switch between your different TV shows or films or projects that you might be working on. So it
Cool.
just really saves time.
Totally. Yeah. So we've set one up right here for Silver Spoon. So let's go ahead and jump into that. And this is where you can nest all of your logos, colors, any photography that you have for your TV series. It can all get nested here. And then you'll be able to pull from this area once you start editing in the Canva editor. And so you can see that we've got some of the logos here that Lucy has already created. With one addition, I did add an SVG here, which stands for Scalable Vector Graphic. So that just
Ooh.
means that you can make it as big as you want. So we could put it on a billboard, or we could put it on the moon and it not look terrible. And so here's an example of that. So here's one of the logos that has like your typical PNG format. And you'll notice that as we start making it a little bit bigger, that things start to get a little pixelated around the edges, right? And this one
Can't
right
have
here-
that.
No, we do not want that. And here's one that is the SVG, right? So as I start scaling this one up, you can look at that same area right here and everything still looks nice and crisp. So if
And you
you're
can
gonna,
still customize the color with that. That's cool.
yes, exactly. So when you use an SVG, we could change the colors up here in our toolbar and we could just change it to any one of the other colors in our color palette, which is
Cool.
pretty dope. Pretty dope. All right. So that's a little pro tip for you, SVGs. And if you want to download, if you create your logo in Canva, then the way that you would download that from Canva is to go over here to the share button and you're going to download it right here, change the file type to SVG. And then I always recommend just downloading with a transparent background. Otherwise, it's going to give you like this white or black background that you have. And then you can come back here and hit add new, upload your logo, and just add it in right there. Pretty sweet. All right. And then we also have our color palette right here, which again, Lucy hooked us up with, right? So we can go over here and we have like the hex codes, the exact colors for this brand. And so we could just copy this string of letters and numbers right here. And then we could add that in right here and just hit paste, right? So we've already got that one in there. But if you're still in that like exploring phase, you're like, I don't really know. I don't really know what colors to use. Then Canva's got you covered because you could go to add new and go to add palette here. And Canva has all of these pre-made layouts right here with really cool titles like Berry Blues and Pasture
Oh,
Dreams. So really cool just for like the brainstorming process, right? And then we also have fonts right here. So what I would recommend is even if you don't set up every single one of these, to at least set up your heading, your subheading, and your body, because when you get into the Canva editor, those are the areas that Canva is going to pull from when you start trying to customize fonts. But this is really cool because you can choose a font right here. You can explore all of the fonts available in Canva's library. They actually just added 500 new fonts through their Monotype partnership,
ooh.
which is dope. So you could actually just type in Monotype collection, and it's going to show you all of those new fonts here. Or if you're working on something where it's going to be a little bit more of a corporate vibe, you could search that keyword, and it's going to show you all of the fonts that match that keyword. Or maybe with Halloween coming up, you're working on something scary. And so
That's
you
more of my search vibe, typing in old timey and seeing what pops up.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've learned about Canva is that they love keywords, and we're going to talk about that more in just a minute. Tasha, were you going to jump in? Did you have something,
Yeah.
Tasha? Nope. Okay, moving on.
Am I cutting out? I was just going to add that this
Yeah.
can really help when, like, I don't know about you, Lucy, when you're picking your fonts, if you ever get overwhelmed choosing what font
Oh,
to use. There's saying there's 500 new ones in there is great, but font, like, I don't know what the word is when there's too many is definitely a thing. So like
choice
using that search function
paralysis.
can really help. That's the word I was looking
Absolutely.
for. Yeah. So yeah, with Canva, with those search terms and things, it's just to try and help you feel inspired and be able to narrow things down and whatnot. So a nice helpful tip in there.
Definitely. Yeah. And then we've got all the photos here that Lucy hooked us up with. So again, we'll be able to draw on this once we start editing in the Canva editor. And then graphics and icons. Graphics are great for if you just have maybe like some textured backgrounds. You'll notice that in the deck that we're about to look at, that there's some wood backgrounds. And so that might be a good spot to just nest some of those things.
I'll just add as well on the brand kit, it's mainly just around saving time and making sure you're staying consistent. Having a look at those images. I know, Lucy, when you would have shot bits, you would have had so many great images. And I don't know if anyone else is guilty of having that desktop that's covered with random images. That's me, guilty. So it just helps have everything in one place so that when you're designing, you don't have to jump out of Canva and go and find, oh, what was that great image I need? It just means that everything's here ready to go, and it will just save you a bit of time as well.
Exactly. Yep. All right. So now that we've got our brand kit set up, let's jump into designing the pitch deck. And
Let's do it.
We have a SeriesFest template that we're going to play with, but I will mention that at canva.com/entertainment, there are a whole lot of templates here that are available for you. So pitch decks, treatment decks, mood boards, posters, press kits, all that kind of stuff is available for you. So you have a starting place, because I know sometimes a blank canvas can be a little scary. And so that's to help you out.
I think it is helpful just to mention that what we're going to workshop today is a series treatment deck. I don't know if I'm cutting you off here. Stop me if I
No,
am.
go for it.
But this is a document that you would submit to a festival or share with a reader or producer. That's an accompanying document that has more information than necessarily just like a deck or a traditional slideshow that you would bring with you in the room to pitch. So for something like a live pitch where I'm there presenting the information, I'm not writing tons of text on the page, but what we're looking at today is something that would be unaccompanied and has to stand on its own a little bit more.
That is so helpful. Yeah, for that context, because I'm here to demo Canva and Lucy's here to drop wisdom like that. All right, so I'm going to change my view here so that we can scroll up and down. And the first thing that we're going to do is go over here to the object panel. That's what this left sidebar is called here. And we're going to click on design. And if we go over here to styles, this is going to be where our brand kit is hanging out, right? So we could change this right here. You see that we have silver spoon selected. But if I click this little drop down, then we could go ahead and jump into any one of the other brand kits if we wanted to, and then quickly start customizing. So the first thing that we're going to do is change all of the fonts here. And so I'm going to click right here on brand fonts. And you can see with just click of a button, it changes all of the fonts right there in our design. And
That's cool.
that's pretty time saving, right? But if you scroll down, you can see it didn't do it to everything, but you'll notice that over here on the left-hand side, it says apply to all pages. So you don't have to go through each page and do that painstakingly. If you hit that button, now it's going to change all of the fonts on all of our pages. And we'll be able to do the exact same thing with the color palette as well. So we'll click the color palette here. It starts to change everything here. And then if we click apply to all pages, then now it's changed on all of these pages.
Oh.
Lucy likey.
Yeah. I forgot I was on camera. I was just mesmerized by Canva.
Another great thing about this right here is, like, even though we use the change all, there might be like a few pages that you just don't like the way that those colors generated. So you could just select that one and then go back here and click again to start shuffling through. So the more I click on it, the more it's going to shuffle through the different colors in our color palette.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. And then we have the entire Canva content library at our disposal, right? There's so much content in Canva that it can be hard to find what you need. But again, it's all about keywords. So we're going to go over here right below design, and we'll click on elements this time. And so let's say that we're working on this page right here and we want to swap out some of these photos. You'll notice that if I delete it, that we get this little cloud with this little hillside. And that just means that this is a frame that we can drag any photo into and it will replace what is there. So similar to like an image mask in other software that you may have used. So let's go ahead and search for something like Thanksgiving. Just imagining that we're going to find, like, some comfort food somewhere in there.
Yeah.
You'll see we have like graphics. So these are going to be like illustrations and anything like animated that you could change to go to the filter here and say we wanted something that was dancing, we wanted a little bit of movement or something. But what we're looking for really is photos. So let's go to photos. And this is like my little trick, is that anytime that you see 3 dots in Canva, there's something deeper going on there. It just means that there's going to be more information that you can find. So if you hover over this, you see these little 3 dots right here. There's all of these keywords that are actually clickable. So if I were to click on cheers, then it would start to show me any photos in Canva that had that keyword. But what I love about this particular photo is that I can see this is part of a collection of photos. So this photographer right here, again, this is clickable. So I could click on their name and it's going to take me to their profile of all the different photos that they've added and contributed here to Canva. Or I could just go directly to Canva Warm Friends Feast, and it's going to show me all of the photos. Yeah, some of these keywords are kind of funny.
That's good.
Yeah, but you'd be able to put together a pretty consistent design by just pulling in all of these. Because again, they were probably taken all on the same day by the same photographer. So the color grading is going to look the same, the lighting's going to look the same, and it's really easy to get consistent photos by using collections. So that one's always a real big time saver for me.
Cool.
Now, Lucy, we had talked a little bit about how like your approach to design. Some people like to use templates. Some people like to start from scratch. So like, what is your vibe? What is your style when it comes to opening up Canva and digging into creating a deck?
I really like using these templates as almost like a content reference, as that table of contents of understanding what sort of information is necessary within this document. Because there's a lot of rhetoric of like, well, the industry needs X, Y, and Z, or you need all of this information, or else it's not even considered. There's a lot of definite kind of expectations that it can make it a little daunting when you're opening up a blank document to know, how do I do this within 12 slides? How do I tell this story? So I like using these templates as a reference to know, okay, I want to include my log line, my series synopsis, my pilot synopsis, character descriptions, tone, comp projects, a little bit about me, like letter from the creator, that sort of stuff, to know how I will be including this information. Now, my approach is a little less structured. I tend to like something like a format deck to read more narratively, especially because it's usually being sent off without me to provide that narrative. I like to look at all of this information and see within the tone of my project what the most creative way to deliver that information is. So for me, if I'm tackling something like this for Silver Spoon, I'm thinking, okay, how can I use my pilot synopsis to also introduce my main characters? And almost like I'm writing a prose, like narrative story, introduce the concept of the pilot, the concept of the show, and the concept of my main characters in sort of one sweep, so that it's not clunky and broken up and a little hard to track.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that. Are you okay with me showing the deck that you put together?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
look at it quickly. This is the format deck that I use. If we maybe want to start at the beginning, I think that has some less information. So I think this, if we start at this first page there, this is a good example of that sort of creative tackling of it. Silver Spoon is a story about restaurants and a family running a restaurant. And so I thought, well, gonna make the deck a menu. We're gonna, how can we deliver this both visually and like content wise? So for the first few pages, I do sort of like boop, 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 layout, logline, format, setting. But then as we get into it, it dives deeper into more of that narrative, introducing the characters alongside my plot.
I thought that was such a clever idea. I absolutely loved the fact that you used the menu, and it just kind of shows the different approaches, right, when creating a design, and that you're not bound to a template. Maybe you're going to use something like
Yeah.
this. You're using like you said, some of those things that are mandatory, like you have to include a few of these things, but you're not bound to the template. And that's one of the things I love about Canva is, let's say that we wanted to like add a new page here. And I could very quickly, with just a couple of keyboard shortcuts, like hit the T key and bam, I've got some text, right? Or I could hit
Yeah.
the R key, maybe want to bring in a little rectangle, and then we could just duplicate this, right? Now we've got like some body text. And then let's
And
say
I
that
think
we
it's great. Sorry to interrupt. I think it's
yeah, go
great
for it.
to use these templates as a reference, as inspiration. But you're creating a series format deck because you have a unique and creative story. So why not take this opportunity to add that to this as well?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, so we've got our text here, and let's say that we wanted to add in an image. Canva has both grids and frames, right? So to get there, you're going to go to the Elements tab, and let's say that we wanted to add in a grid right here, and we can resize these. You can also make the corners rounded up here in the toolbar. So we should do a little something like that because a lot of this deck has rounded corners. So we just kind of want to stay consistent, right? And then you'd be
Mhm.
able to drag that stuff in. Another really cool feature, of course, we haven't talked a ton about some of the magic within Canva, which is Canva's word for AI. But let's say that we wanted to add a menu like what Lucy had in her deck. So I'll go to menu and let's search the photos tab. And I'm looking for one in particular, this one right here, right? So how many of you guys love the background remover? It's like what Canva is known for is the background remover. And it comes in handy. It's my saving grace. And to get that, we're going to go up here with our image selected, just click on this toolbar, hit background remover, and bam, it's automatically gone. But one of the other cool features that I love, that's also a magic feature, is that you can actually turn this text that's on this menu into editable text. So we could go right here up to edit. Again, our image is selected. We'll go to edit. And this time we're going to use grab text right here. And Canva is going to detect the text that's available. We'll just select it here. And then we'll click on grab. And Canva is going to turn this into an editable font they're just going to find something similar, something close. So it's not always going to be exact, but then, we could actually now change this and edit this. Boom. And so it actually, you can see that it has now replaced the background because there was text here. And so there's a lot of AI magic that's happening right here.
Awesome. Background remover also does work for video as well. Not everyone knows that trick.
Oh.
That is a really good one. I love that. But let's say that you're still like, yo, I don't know. I'm not trying to do what Lucy's doing, this, creating stuff from scratch. Like I'm in between like Lucy and template. Like I'm in between those.
That's the end of the spectrum.
One of the things I love is that Canva does offer layouts. So if you're on like a blank canvas like this, and you were to go back to the design tab over here and click on layouts, then you're going to have all of these different pre-made layouts again that Canva has. So you could just go, okay, I need a new title graphic here. Or if we wanted to add in something like this, then you can easily start to piece together a deck with maybe some of those things that are missing from your pitch deck. And then on top of that, maybe you just like, there's just one page missing. You can search all of the other templates available in Canva and just add that one page to your design. So in order to do that, you're just going to, sorry, my screen just bugged out. You're going to click over here to design. And let's say that the page that's missing is like a timeline. Maybe we want to do something like that for our series synopsis. So we could just scroll down here and grab any one of these. So let's just see. I think we'll go with something simple like this. And we just click once and it's automatically added. Now, again, it doesn't really fit the vibe of everything else that we've done. So you're just going to go back over to that design tab, go back to styles, hit that button, hit this button, and we've very quickly started to get everything looking consistent with our designs.
And so
Amazing.
Roger's just how having the brand kit set up early on just helps save so much time when you're adding these pages and the layouts you did before. And I'm just going to add as well, because I know that did make me laugh about being Lucy versus template. I think with series format deck, we worked really closely with SeriesFest on putting together what those key elements are that we would love to see in your series format deck. But it's really there for you to personalize and completely make it your own. That's what Roger's showing you how you can do this. So we'd love to see you play around and change it and bring your own unique perspective to whatever that is. Like Lucy's saying, making it more narrative. Maybe it's changing more colors, moving things around. But yeah, really want to encourage everyone to feel empowered to design their series format deck however they feel truly represents their project.
I think empowering is honestly the perfect word there, Tasha, because I think for me, at least, I'm not a professional designer, but I have found that when I get fatigued with writing, designing these pitch decks and these visual mediums has been a really nice way to still work within my story, but feel like I'm taking a break from the labor of like writing and taking that time to know that I have this like creativity and these ideas around this story and communicate it in a different way has been a really great resource for me.
Amazing.
I love
Great.
that. Yeah. And, you know, two more magic features and then we'll wrap up here. But one of the things that I love is the ability to generate images, because Canva has a huge library, but sometimes the perfect image just doesn't exist and you have to create one. And that's where Magic Media comes in. And so if you want to use that, then over here on the left-hand side, you would go to apps in the object panel, and then you're going to find Magic Media right here. And so this is where you would enter whatever words to describe the image, right? So I'm just going to copy this prompt that I've already populated here. We'll add that in. And my little trick is I always like to use Filmic. I just find that seems to give me the best results. And then we'll change the aspect ratio here to be landscape as well. And then you'll notice that I always add in a few little keywords at the end of whatever my description is. So in the style of a horror poster, I know this is not a horror television show, but when I started thinking about like, you know, Bob Evans Down on the Farm, my family and I, we do it every year for Thanksgiving. It just
And
has
somebody always dies.
what? From eating it? Don't tell me that.
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, not at Thanksgiving. No one dies at Thanksgiving in my house. So I just add in the style of horror poster because I'm thinking, you know, it's like this contrast to what you would think would be like this good old, you know, family vibes. But then when you hear about some of the turmoil, you know, it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't feel like that Down on the Farm vibe. So
Totally.
I
I
added
think
in.
we forgot to mention this earlier, but Silver Spoon is based on my family lore. I'm a part of the Bob Evans restaurant family of Bob Evans Down on the Farm fame, and the familial lore that I grew up with created this story. And so I think for these Magic Media, like I am in the position where I have a lot of family photos and like personal images that I can embed in this. But if you're coming into a story that doesn't necessarily have that, this is a good resource.
Yeah. Yeah. So many great photos also. And yes, let's talk offline. I want the tea of all of this.
We'll get into it.
And then I add little words like, you know, 8K or cinematic lighting. Maybe if you're a videographer, you know better words that you could throw in here, like rule of thirds and things like that. So we'll just generate this image. And just in case it goes slow, you can see that this is what it generated for me using this prompt right here. But Canva is typically going to give you 4 different images to choose from, and then you can use all of them or, you know, throw them all away if you don't like any of them. So you can see, here we go. Let's just grab this one, right? So it's just like food is on fire, everything's burning. That one actually looks yummy. I'm trying to sit at that table actually. But just some ideas. And then here's another one again, aerial view of farm table. This was all generated with Magic Media. So again, if you're just out of ideas or can't find the exact image, then go ahead and use Magic Media to generate that. And then lastly, you know, presentation is important, as we know. And so with just the click of a button, you can actually add some more engagement, a little personalization to your series format deck. And so what we're going to do is just select any one of these slides. Let me go here to our first one. And you'll notice up here, we have this button that says animate. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to choose page over here because I want some page animations. And I'm going to click on magic animate. It's going to apply animations and transitions between each one of these slides. So we'll click that. And you're going to notice that down here, there's going to be some things that will change. So keep your eye on this once I hit one of these styles. So we'll click energetic. And you can see that automatically it just added in those transitions here. And then once you're happy, you can either download this design or you can present it directly from within Canva. So we'll hit present right here, and I'll give you a chance to see what those animations look like that we just added in.
You can also see how different this deck is starting to look from the original template in terms of colors, fonts, and layouts and things like that as well.
I can't see the chat, but I'm just envisioning that there are oohs and ahs in the chat. That's what I think is happening. And then one of my favorite things, and we'll end with this, is just some keyboard shortcuts, right? So maybe you're going to like reveal the cast, and before we get there, you want to do like a little drum roll.
Oh.
Right. So I don't know if you could hear my sound, but there's actually sound that goes along with that one. Or maybe you're just like ready to party. You're like, yo, I can't believe this is our cast. Whee! Confetti. And
we
then,
love our magic shortcuts.
Yeah, maybe there is a mic drop for you when you just drop some gold. You just hit M for that mic drop. So, which I think is actually the perfect way to wrap up this portion of our time together.
Amazing.
The mic drop.
Uh-huh.
Come on. I'm also like envisioning myself reading format decks and it having all of these elements of like a drum roll. It's going to be so much fun. You guys use those things.
Totally.
All right. Well, if it sounds good to you guys, let's dive into some questions and get into some details. Again, please use the Q&A box. We'll do our best to pull anything out that was in the chat, but the Q&A box is the best place to ask us questions. So let's see. Lucy, this one's for you, my dear.
Oh,
Do you
great.
write your copy while in Canva, or do you prep it before you start moving it into like the templates and stuff?
I do a little bit of both. I think it honestly depends for me. I think I often bring in copy into the design and then make edits depending on formatting. And that's where I tend to do a lot of edits. But I've also done projects where I just write it out in Canva. It's very user friendly and available for that.
Another question for you. I'm not surprised. You are the expert here. But when you were doing this, and we kind of touched this on the end of our little chat, but like finding that medium of images from things that you've completed versus maybe, things for future episodes or things that you haven't actually gotten into production, like what would you like recommend as far as like finding that balance of using things like the Canva AI imagery and then also things that are like in case of Silver Spoon, your actual family photos?
I think it just depends what you have available, because like for Silver Spoon, we're in the position where we're not filmed, so there is no like original content other than like my family photos to pull from. And those are great and really helpful. And for something like this story where I can go back through like the archives of Bob Evans images, and if I'm referencing like the specific family museum in the script, I can pull the images of the family museum that exists in real life and things like that. But I also think it's very helpful because, again, this is a document that's being sent out without me and without me being like, no, that's my grandpa, like that kind of stuff. It is helpful to pull from like existing projects. Like there's the still from Righteous Gemstones in there and like crediting that where you can. But I think when you have such a limited opportunity to convey not only your idea, but your tone, pulling from those comps for images can be really helpful.
I'm just going to jump in there
go
as
ahead.
well, just on the pulling of the comps, some exciting news. I think I may have mentioned this to you already, Lucy, but we know that filmmakers use Shot Deck a lot. And so Canva is working on an integration that's coming live soon. So you'll be able to
Very
grab even
cool.
more imagery using Canva with the integration we have with Shot Deck. So hopefully that will really help too.
That's awesome.
I saw one of these questions in the chat around like kind of the use of color to convey tone. Like, where do you, again, it's like finding that balance, right? Of like using so much color that it's like, whoa, this is now overwhelming. But then it's
Yeah.
also about finding a brand kit or colors that are engaging. Like I get, I think Roger, from your perspective as a designer, and then also Lucy, yours as a storyteller, I think this is a great question for both of you to answer.
Yeah, Lucy, you want to take this first? I'm happy to jump in.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a broken record, but like it is project dependent. For me, sometimes if I'm at the very early stages of a pitch deck, I can often find a color palette from an image I'm pulling. So Canva does offer that, like if you click into an image, it provides the colors from those images. And I'm like, well, this image is really specific and really correct with what I'm doing here. And so maybe this exact shade of orange is also helpful to incorporate. I think it is also one of those things of like, if you look at the page and there's too much color, take one off. It's like getting dressed. Like you got to make a statement, but you don't want to be overwhelming.
Yes, take off one accessory before you leave the house. That
Yes.
is advice I was given. Yes, great. Anything else on that, you guys? Like finding that nice tonal balance?
Yeah, I think, a couple hacks, couple tricks for non-designers is just maybe keep it simple, 3 to 5 colors. And then just like what Lucy was saying, you can actually just drag an image into Canva. And then when you click on the color palette, it'll show you photo colors. It'll give you like those 5 to 6 colors that that are a part of that image. But then also what I would do if I were a non-designer is go to something like Pinterest and type in a keyword with color palette. So like, dark or mysterious color palette or scary color palette. Like use some of those keywords that you might be using and whatever it is that how you might describe what you're working on, and then just throw the words color palette after that.
I learned a lot about keywords watching the demo. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Tasha. Did
But
I
I was going
interrupt
to
you?
say, I am conscious of time, but I do think that's such a cool trick, Roger. So I wonder if you quickly show people how you grab an image and then you can find the colors. Because I know there's another question here about reverse engineer a color palette. And I think that answers that pretty well.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and we'll pull in any photo.
Roger taught me how to do this, by the way.
Yeah. So now that we've got this in here and we were to select this color picker, like I just have the background selected, we click here and you can see Canva automatically generates the color palette over here and where it says photo colors. So if I click see all, it's actually going to show me all of the different photos that are part of my presentation along with a color palette for each one. In addition to that, what we could do is, let's say that we wanted to change the colors on this slide right here. We'll use that same image. Oops, right here. And if I just right click on this image, I can go to apply colors to page and it's going to change the color palette of our design. And if you don't like it, you just shuffle through, keep on applying colors until you have something that you like.
Love it. Thanks, Roger. I know
Yeah.
there was another question before about someone missing when you did Magic Animate as well. Do you mind just showing where that button is? Sorry, Claire, I'm hijacking.
No. It's okay.
Cool.
This
Yeah.
is a team.
Yeah, so we're going to go up here. You can see it's saying photo flow because we've already added an animation. But what you do is click animate right here and then go to page. So we have photo, but then we want to animate the page. And this is where Magic Animate hangs out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I think this one's actually for me and you, Lucy. So the question is, if your project is already shot, do you only use images for the project or do you still use comp images? I think from a SeriesFest perspective, we see both. I always encourage you to have your deck feel as much like your project as possible at that stage of production. I think comps are really important. So, you still use comps on the comp page to really
Yeah.
set that tone and stuff. But did you have any advice on like the overhaul possibly you did on the bits deck? On
Yeah,
once you had that stuff?
for bits we used only stills and like actual film content, except for that comp page. And even then we were very specific to pull stills from those comp projects that also felt cinematically in line with what we were doing.
Definitely. Well, we are over time.
Oh,
So I can't, I mean, seriously, fastest hour. Every time we do a workshop with Canva, I just feel like it's like opening a can of worms. And you
Canva
just
of
see
worms.
everybody's Canva of worms.
Thank you, trademark.
Thank you. Digital short series. I love it. So anyways, thank you guys all for your time today. As mentioned, there is a short survey that's going to pop up as you leave the webinar today. Please make sure to take that. We want to hear from you. We want to keep these workshops going. You're going to get an email with all sorts of goodies from SeriesFest, including a link to rewatch this. So if you missed some of those tricks from Roger or tips from Lucy, you will have an opportunity to see that stuff again. I highly recommend going to Canva and looking at all of their resources and tools of things that we didn't get to cover here. Check out our Vanguard series because we've done some of these workshops with fantastic creators like David Diggs and Patrick McManus, who have given us some of the tricks that they use in the trade. And mostly SeriesFest is open for submissions right now. So all of our competitions are open, including our independent pilot competition, our digital short series competitions. We have a script writing competition this year called Storytellers Initiative. We are working with Ed Helms and Pacific Electric Picture Company to find new comedic scripts and voices. The winner gets a development deal with Pacific Electric. So this is a huge opportunity. And guess what? You got to have decks to apply for any of these. So keep up with SeriesFest on our newsletter. And thank you so much for joining us today. And everything that you'll need to know is on our website on what you might win or what you might be interested in or how to buy tickets and what's coming up next for us. And like I already plugged, if you are going to be in Columbus or if you are going to be in Washington, D.C., please go see Lucy live. Do not miss this opportunity to support each other, but also to see an incredible artist in the work. Like she will be in it, you guys. Thank you to Canva, Roger, and Tasha. It's always so fun working with you guys on this. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone. Bye.